All right, this video I want to talk about why I don't think you should have your health insurance tied to a specific job. Now, a couple months ago, I had to explain to an uncle of mine why I wouldn't want health insurance to be part of a benefits package. Honestly, I think jobs should only just pay money and then it's up to you to figure out other things from there. Now, it might have made sense to have benefits like health insurance as part of a job back in the 60s when it was expected that you'd be there for the next 30 years until retirement. That is a context where it made sense. But there are a lot more regulations and such, and job hopping is more of a thing today. So, for example, 2 years ago now, I had to figure out my own health insurance plan because I turned 26 back then, meaning at the end of the month, I was unable to be on my parents' eh, health insurance, which I don't know why they can't just let family be on it across the board. Like, what if someone wanted to have their elderly parents on their health insurance plan? No, really, I'd love to know. I don't see a problem with that, especially if you're taking care of them, if they need extra assistance. Why not just let them? I mean, I know that used to be that you had to figure it out at the age of 18, and then they kept on raising the age over the years until they eventually hit 26, and that's where it's been ever since. I know that's like a legal thing as well, but if there's no law prohibiting a health insurance company from allowing people to add their children who are 26 or older after they turn 26, I don't see a problem with that. They'd probably attract a lot of they'd probably attract a lot of customers. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure that it's the law as well in terms of the age thing. But anyway, it shouldn't be tethered to a job because what if you lose that job and then, yeah, you can sign up for the safety net one. Here in Massachusetts, there's a safety net of some kind, but what if you'd rather just have money set aside to keep it going if you want? And then there's the question of whether said health insurance actually meets the standards, like the instant gratification job, the standards in Massachusetts, it did not meet those, the health insurance that they offered. Sure, it might have been a smaller amount per week that would be taken out of my paycheck compared to the about $25 a week I set aside for my health insurance and my dental insurance. I would not be surprised if my health one went up because I'm about to start using it for therapy, so that's a possibility that I'm going to have to live with. Although, the way I see it, since I'm paying it, I may as well put it to use. But that's a topic for another day. Yeah, again, back in the 60s, that all made sense because you were likely going to be there for an extended period of time. And that was before it was required to be offered for full-time workers or if you have X number of employees. But still, if you get fired by no fault of your own, you no longer have that insurance, and then you have to either wait for open enrollment, be without health insurance, and then pay the fines that they impose on you. That's honestly one of my friends told me that it goes towards the safety net or something like that, which I suppose is better than just the government taking that money and doing whatever else. Though, like I said in one of my videos about money, I don't remember which one, but once it's assimilated into someone else's financials, it's no longer yours, and what happens next isn't that. Like, for example, I hate alcohol. I I go to stores that sell alcohol, specifically Star Market. Well, only Star Market now. Or I've gone to stores that the larger corporation uses profits to buy alcohol and then sell it. Target in this case. The one near me doesn't sell it because the town it's in is a town that doesn't do liquor licenses, therefore you can't buy alcohol in that town. Kind of wish I could move there to be completely honest. But where I am right now isn't too bad. Anyway, once it becomes that other person's money, it's no longer yours. I lost my oh great, I lost my train of thought on the health insurance thing. But yeah, it's better to keep it separate from your job, no matter how stable it is, no matter how unlikely you are to get fired, no matter how unwilling you are to quit. Yes, it's a nice idea on paper. They offer it as a benefit. The problem I noticed when I was working at the movie theater was I had at least two people who I would describe as healthcare hostages, meaning they were there specifically to earn the health insurance. One of them worked a second job that made more in tips at other times. So the movie theater was the health insurance job, and then the other or one was the real money maker. But still, it limits your movements. But ultimately, I still think it should be kept separate. That's what I personally do because I am not going to be the hostage. I'm not going to be a healthcare hostage. I'm at the instant gratification job because the people are nice, but in case anything happens where I leave for whatever reason, I would much rather keep my health insurance separate from employment. Again, there is a safety net here in Massachusetts. I don't know how it works in other states, but at least here I can keep it separate from my job. I mean, if you really want to take advantage of the health insurance benefit of your own job, by all means, I'm not going to try and stop you. The healthcare hostages from when I worked at the movie theater, they were at peace with their decisions, or rather, they didn't have that much of a choice because they had other expenses that I don't. But yeah, it just doesn't make sense in today's environment of job hopping every 2 to 3 years compared to staying for a full 30 years and then receiving a full pension. The boomers had it really good back then. Well, actually, around the 50s, it was more of the silent generation and the greatest generation who had it really good with the 50s and 60s for that, because that's around the time when the boomers were kids or being born. Or in the case of the late 60s, when the oldest boomers, like one of my grandfathers, came of age and had his first kid. And then the good times kept going for the rest of them, and most of the Gen Xers and maybe some of the early millennials, but then Gen Z. Yeah, it's not great. But if the state's gonna compel me to have health insurance, one, I'm gonna put it to good use and not just pay into it to make them shut up. And two, if I'm not gonna get it through a job. Again, if you really want to do that, who am I to try and stop you? But then you'd have to sign up for the safety net if you get fired, laid off, or if you decide you just have to quit. Whereas if you keep it separate, you don't have to change plans. You don't have to deal with the headache of that. Okay, you might still have to sign up for the safety net because you're no longer employed. Don't take too much advice from me. I'm just rambling about why I personally wouldn't tie health insurance to a job. It never made sense to me. It especially doesn't make sense to me today in today's job environment where staying long for 2 to 3 years is the norm instead of staying for a full 30 years, earning a full pension, and then retiring. It also makes it more difficult to leave said job if you want to find a different job or you don't want to, or you decide you want to quit. Maybe that's why they still offer it to make it more difficult to just up and quit. But I know for a fact that, again, I don't want it tethered to a job. I'd rather keep it separate and then I can have a little more say in which plan specifically I have. And then again, ultimately, make sure you're putting it to good use, especially if you're paying out of pocket for it. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Comment down below if you think it makes sense to get health insurance through a job. Again, I don't think it makes sense in the context of job hopping being the norm instead of the exception. Because again, back when it started being a thing, you were more likely to be there from when you were like my age or younger until retirement. Give this video a like, subscribe for daily uploads. I'll see you soon.